Good morning to one and here. This is Amit Kumar Singh, and welcome to my session on operation research. In this session of operation research, what we'll deal with, we'll talk about something which is very important called transportation problems. So, guys, so in the all the previous sessions, whatever I have done for you. So, if you remember what we have done, we have started our class with the understanding of LPP problem. So what LPP problem is all about. So we have learned about LPP problem. So before we learned about LPP problem, what LPP is all about. So LPP stand for linear programming problems. So what LPP is all about. So before we have understood what LPP problem is all about, we have understood what operation research, the subject operation research, why this subject operation research came into the existence. So during the World War time, why this subject came to the existence. So we have understood the existence of this subject. Once we have understood the existence of this subject, then what we have learned, then we have learned that this subject is all about optimization of resources. Either the optimization we can do of maximization of the given output in the form of probably if they are mentioned in the form of or revenue, or we can talk in the term of minimization of resources. We talked in the term of cost. Okay, so we have discussed about these parameters already. So we have learned how to formulate a linear programming problem, and then once you have formulated a linear programming problem, we have learned how to solve that linear programming problem. So to solve a linear programming problem, we have learned how to solve it by either using graphical method or by using solver or by using simplex method. We have learned anyway, one 10 marks question definitely will come from a simplex method. I believe I have taken 4 to 5 classes only on simplex method only. Like that, you can expect graphical method problem, but from the problem of graphical method will come probably of 5 marks a question you can expect from the graphical method problem. Then there is something called MS Solver. You can solve the all the LPP problem by using MS Excel Solver. That is not important for your exam point of view, but for your knowledge that is important, because sooner or later everything whatever we are studying in statistics and operation research, what you will study in finance or marketing, everything you will implement in MS Excel. So you should be good with MS Excel. That's why I have taken a class also where I have taught you how you can formulate a given LPP problem by using MS Excel solver, how you can derive the solution from it. So that also we have learned. So till now we have talked about, we have learned what is operation research. We have learned how to derive the solution of the given LPP problem by using graphical, by using simplex, by using solver. Then we have learned under simplex method, we have learned the another form of formulating equation. Probably in the case of method, if your constraints involve greater than or equal to a kind of constraint, then there's another derivative of simplex method which is called Big M method. So by Big M method, you can solve it, the given problem that turned to be a little bit complicated, but we have learned it how to solve the given problem by using Big M method. Whatever I have taught you till now, all everything is whatever everything I have covered. Everything is there in YouTube. You can type my name, Amit Kumar Singh, Operation Research, or you can type a particular topic name, and you will get everything in YouTube. And that way, in case if you missed any session, you can go back and please go and see that session. Continuously I'm seeing the people are not watching these videos. I'm working very hard so that once the class is being done, you should get the recorded form of the class, and that way it can serve your objective what you are expecting. And I believe that the topic is little bit difficult, so at the same time expecting that you people also do hard work from your end, so that there should not be any confusion and your doubts can be cleared in the next possible class. so that we can talk about a scenario where you all can understand everything, whatever I'm teaching. So if you have any doubt, you are most welcome to ask your doubt. Please write your doubt in the chat box if you are finding anything difficulty. So we have done these sessions. Along with that, I have taught you an alternate way of solving LPP problem. Where more than solving the problem, we have spent time in deriving the equation for the given problem. Where 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 when you see a scenario where you have too many constraints. So in the given LPP problem, if you have too many constraints, then you have to introduce too many variables, either slack or surplus or artificial, and then if you start solving by iteration table, then it turned to a little bit complicated. So I have taught you also the concept of duality also, so that way it can help you in that time also. Now probably today what I'm going to deal with today, I'm going to teach you something called transportation problem. So in your exam case study, 15 marks case study come from transportation problem only. So that's why transportation problem are very important problem. So if you notice, this is what you can see on your screen. So this is a transportation problem. So transportation problem are nothing but they are one form of LPP problem only. When we talk about transportation problem, when we see a transportation problem, why the videos will not open, Lakshmikant? All I have seen all the videos. In case if you have any doubt with any video, you can copy that video and WhatsApp me. I'll see why they are not opening. Okay, in case Lakshmikant, if you find any difficulty, so because all the videos whatever I'm sending, I am uploading in YouTube and then I'm sending. So those videos not opening, I'm like little bit, I'm not so sure about that part, that how come this is possible. Anyway, once the class get over, you copy that video and send me. Let me see which video you are finding difficulty. Thank you for updating me, Lakshmika. Okay, now coming back to the transportation problem. Transportation problem are the form of LPP problem only. The LPP problem, whatever I have taught you till now. So that LPP problem, when that problem turned to a little bit complicated, where if you see this is the example of transportation problem, where you have 4 origins and you have 3 destinations. Imagine we are talking about transportation problem. We are talking about a scenario called supply chain management, and you know that country like India where the supply chain management is not good. That's why we see a lot of inflation kind of scenario. You keep reading in newspaper that in godowns lot of food grains are spoiling, but at the same time people are dying because of hungerness. People are not getting food. So supply chain management is very big critical issue what we find in the subject like operation research, or in our day-to-day life. So this transportation problem can be one form of supply chain management issue only. Here you can see there are 4 sources of origin. You can see there are 4 sources of origin, and you can see 3 destinations are given to you: D1, D2, D3, and you can see from origin 1. You can see the origin 1. The total supply from origin 1 is 5, and the total demand for destination 1 is 7. So you can see these values. You can see these values, where these values, what this value 2 means. If you see in origin 1 and D1, you can see this value written called 2. So 2 is the cost. 2 is the cost involved to supply the commodity from origin 1 to destination 1. So that cost can be rupees or anything, any currency, doesn't matter. So since I'm sitting in India, so I'm assuming this cost is in rupees. So what is 2? 2 basically means, 2 here basically means 2 rupees is the cost to supply a product from origin 1 to destination 1. What is 7 here? 7 is the cost. What is 7 here? 7 is the cost to supply a product from origin 1 to destination 2. 4 is the cost to supply a product from origin 1 to destination 3. What is this 4? This 4 is the cost of supplying a product from origin 3 to destination 2. What is this 7? 7 is the cost involved in supplying the product from origin 3 to destination 3. Okay, so so I hope you have understood what I'm talking about. So when we solve transportation problem, when you solve transportation problem like this, you'll get some kind of, like this you'll see some kind of values given in table. Like this you'll see some values which is given in the table. Like this you'll see some values in exam which is given in the form of table. So it doesn't matter this table is a rectangular matrix or square matrix, that is not relevant for us. After this transportation problem, I'll teach you something called assignment problem. After this transportation problem, we'll do something called assignment problem. So for the assignment problem, the matrix should be square matrix. Okay, assignment problem are the derivative of transportation problem, which we'll do once we are done with transportation problem. Now, in the case of assignment problem, the given matrix should be a square matrix. But for the transportation problem, that doesn't matter. A square matrix means the number of rows should be equal to number of columns. If you see here, four rows are there and 3 columns are there. You can see in this problem, you have 4 rows and you have 3 columns. Okay, so if you see in this problem, you have 4 rows. If you see in this problem, you have 4 rows and 3 columns. So it's a rectangular matrix. It is not a square matrix. So that doesn't matter. Whenever you are solving a transportation problem, that doesn't matter your matrix is a square or rectangular. The only thing what matters to you, whenever you're solving a transportation problem, the only thing which should matters to you is that the total sum of your demand should be equal to the total sum of supply. The thing which matters to you is that the total sum of demand should be equal to the total sum of supply. So if you see in this problem, if I see the total sum of demand, that is 7 plus 9, 7 plus 9 is 16 and 16 plus 18 is 34, means total demand is 34. Now let's do the total sum of supply. 5 plus 8 is 13, 13 plus 7 is 20, 20 plus 14 is 34. Means here this is the problem where total sum of demand and total sum of supply is same. Okay, so in case if your total sum of demand is not equal to total sum of supply, then we'll introduce a dummy rows and column to make them equal. So when we'll go ahead, when we'll start solving more and more problem, when we'll get little bit difficult problem, there you will see such kind of scenario. Okay, so very soon in the further session you'll see that scenario also. Okay, but today is the introductory class. So now today we are dealing with very simple problem. So in this simple problem, the total sum of supply is equal to total sum of demand. So whenever you see a transportation problem, the very important thing you have to make sure is that the total sum of demand should be equal to total sum of supply. So here total sum of demand is equal to total sum of supply means okay, fine, nothing to worry on that part. Okay, so I'm very confident on that part, and now I'm happy that my total sum of demand and total sum of supply are same and they are equal to 34. That is very important thing, guys. So the first thing, guys, what you need to see is the total sum of demand should be equal to total sum of supply. Okay. Now, whenever you get a transportation problem, although I have not written any theory on this problem, so I have not written any theory on this problem, but whenever you see a problem, definitely a theory will be written about that problem. Some gyan would be imposed on the problem. So you have to read that gyan, whatever is written. Suppose the problem is written like this: obtain the initial basic feasible solution of a transportation problem whose cost is given below. So the very important thing, guys, what I'm talking about right now, that whenever you get a transportation problem in the exam, you have to read the theoretical information for that problem first, and you have to understand that whatever the mechanism I'm going to teach you. Okay, so whatever the mechanism I'm going to teach you, that mechanism can only work. Mechanism can only work if your objective function, is minimization. So whatever the mechanism I'm going to teach you, that mechanism can only work if your objective function is minimization. Okay, so I'm going to teach you a lot of methods here. So those methods are either least cost method or matrix minima method or Vogel approximation method, and then we'll do the optimality test and all. So whatever I'm going to teach you, we can only work only when the objective function when the objective function is minimization. So we can solve this problem only when the objective function is minimization. In case if you notice, in case if you see the data, if you see this data and if the data is given in profit or revenue, okay, in case if you see the problem, and in the problem if the data is given in profit or revenue, then we have to convert that maximization problem into minimization problem. So that also we learn. So if you see the previous year question paper, and if you go to the case study section, you will see a 15 marks question. You will see a 15 mark question on transportation problem, and in that 15 marks question, the maximum question you will see where they will mention that the data what is given, the data what is given means I'm talking about this data, this, and the data what is given, they mention those data are either revenue or profit, like that, and then they'll ask you that derive the optimal solution such that your profit is maximized. So there they'll mention that you have to solve this problem in such a way that you should get the maxima as the objective. But what I'm teaching you right now, that whenever you solve the transportation problem, you have to solve the transportation problem in such a way that your objective function should be minimization. Okay, so in case if you get 5 marks or 10 marks question in the exam, so there they will not emphasize much on minimization or maximization, but probably in 15 marks question you can definitely expect a question where instead of giving the data in cost, they may give you data in profit, and then they expect you to solve the problem. Then they expect you to solve the problem where the first primarily objective would be for you is to convert the maxima matrix into minima matrix. Okay. Now, guys, I hope you are understanding what I'm talking right now. That if you see this problem, so this problem, these values what you see, these values what you're seeing, these all are the, if you see these values, these all values are cost. What are these values? These are the cost associated in transporting certain unit of product from one mode of origin to the another mode of destination. To transport, you have 4 sources of origin and you have 5 places of destination. And when you are transporting them, what are the costs you are incurring? That is this problem is all about. So this problem is all about how you can transfer, how you can transport these product into these destination, where for every origin they've given the total supply. Like for origin 1, they given the total supply is 5. For origin 2, they've given the total supply is 8. For origin 3, they've given the total supply they can do 7. For origin 4, the total supply they can do is 14. Probably these are the data what they're talking about, the maximum supply what they can do, and maybe these 7, 9 are probably the total demand what you can have in a day or month. The time period is always given. Whenever, if you remember, when I was teaching you LPP also, that time when I was talking about formulation of LPP problem also, I always used to mention that whenever you see the LPP problem, whenever you're formulating the LPP problem, the first thing what I taught you is to create a decision variable. So when you're creating the decision variable also, that time I told you that when you're writing those decision variable, let x1, x2, x3 like that. So whenever you are writing the theoretical information of the decision variable, I always emphasize that you should always see if any time period is mentioned in the problem. So more or less the time periods are mentioned in this problem. So if you see that for the origin 1, you can see a supply is 5. That means the maximum supply what you can do in origin 1 in a given time period is 5. For origin 2, you can see 8 is written. So that means the maximum supply you can do to origin 2 for a given time period is 8. For origin 3, 7 is written. That means the maximum supply you can do to origin 3 for a given time period is 7. So I hope you're understanding. So this is the maximum you can put for these demands and supply. So whenever you see a transportation problem, the transportation problem is a rectangular matrix where you can see the maximal value of demand and supply, where you can see the maximal value of demand and supply, and you have to make sure that the total sum of demand should be equal to the total sum of supply. This is the first thing you have to see. The next thing you have to see is that your objective function should always be minimization. So how you understand your objective function is minimization? If the variables whatever are mentioned are either cost, okay, so either they are some XYZ term of accountancy probably where which leads to minimization. In case if the problem is all about maximization, then what you will do, you will convert that minimization, sorry, if that problem was all about maximization, then we'll convert that maximization into minimization. How to do that? We'll discuss that further session. Okay, now coming back to the problem, if I want to derive the solution for the problem, now coming back to the problem, if I want to derive the solution for this problem, if I want to derive the solution of the problem, so the solution what you can get is called feasible solution. So what can be the feasible solution? So feasible solution can be what? Anything you choose anything. This is if I choose this element, so here the total supply is 8 and the total demand is 9. What is the maximum supply I can do is 8. So this is called feasible solution. So if you give 8 to this unit, you cannot give 8 to any other unit. So this will become 0 and this 9 will become 1. So feasible, so first to get the answer for this problem, the answer what I can get is called feasible solution. How to get a feasible solution? You can start with any cell. These are cell. You can start with any cell. So like these are called cell. You can start with any cell. I'll write this as A11. This is A12. This is A13. Okay, so I'll use them. So don't get confused. So I can start with any cell. It doesn't matter. If you want feasible solution, you can start with any cell. Okay, so here if you notice the total supply you can put is 8 and the total demand is 9. So the maximum you can do is 8. So if you give 8 to this, now the total demand left is 1. And if you give 8 to this D2, then you cannot give that unit of 8 to any other cells in the particular row. Either that is A21 or A23. Then randomly I can choose anything. Suppose I choose this A13. So maximum I can supply this is 5 because this is 5, this is 18. So if I supply 5 to this, now I cannot give anything to this. This will become 13 because 5 is given to that. Now it becomes 13. So randomly I can choose anything. Suppose I choose this O3. Suppose this is A31. Suppose if I choose this, then I can, here this is 7. This is 7. So if I give 7 to this, then I cannot give anything to anyone else. Now what I can do, now I can give, now if you see this will get 1 because only 1 is left. Now it becomes 13. Now 13 will be given to this. So this is the one way of getting the solution. So randomly I choose any variable and I got the solution. This solution, what you can see, this solution is called feasible solution. So randomly I choose any cell. I'm just telling you the basic part of transportation problem. To solve the transportation problem, you can get a solution. To solve the transportation problem, in order to solve the given transportation problem, you can start with any cell and you just start substituting the value, seeing the demand and supply for that given cell. and substitute that value, that solution what you get, this solution is called as feasible solution. The solution what you'll get is called as feasible solution. So you can get a feasible solution. And here when you see this feasible solution, anyone have doubt with this? This solution is called feasible solution. Anyone have doubt with this? So this guy, this is what I am trying to do. I'm trying to derive something called feasible solution. So feasible solution you can derive. You can randomly start with any cell and get something that is called as feasible solution. So what you get, this is called as feasible solution. Now the solution what you are getting, this solution is called as feasible solution. So here if I ask you what is the cost, what is the total cost involved, if I ask you what is the total cost involved, so the total cost involved is this, you can see 4 into 5. So this is 4 into 5 plus 3 into 8 plus 3 into 8 plus 5 into 7 plus 6 into 1 plus 2 into 30. So this is the total cost involved. This is the total cost involved. So you can solve this and you'll get the total cost which are involved here. So this is the one way of solving the problem. So you see a problem, and the two things you have to see in the problem. Whenever you get the problem, you see two things. One thing is that the given matrix should be minimum matrix. How you get to know the given matrix is the minimum matrix? Because if you see that values which are there inside the matrix all are related to cost and all, so they are minimum matrix. That is the first thing. The next thing you should see is that the total sum of demand should be equal to total sum of supply. So once these two things are done, then you can give value to each cells. Based on that, you can derive the solution. And then what, Lakshmikant, if you have doubt, you can ask, write in the chat box, and then you get the total cost involved for the each cell. So that is the total cost what you can get. But this is not the optimal solution. The idea, if you notice, the idea here is that your cost should be minimized. The idea is that your cost should be minimized. You want minimum value of cost. So do you think that this is the minimum value of cost? Do you think that this is the minimum value of cost? Are you sure about this? Are you sure about that you will get the minimum value of cost with this calculation what you have done? So have you done any kind of preliminary research before getting this value as your total cost? You will say, no sir, I have not done anything. Randomly sir, I have chosen some variable and randomly I have done assigning some values on that variable, making sure that the total sum of demand is equal to total sum of supply. That I have done. So then if you say like that, then if you say that like that, then have you derived the optimal solution? You will say, no sir, I have not derived the optimal solution. If I ask you, is this the optimal solution you have derived? You say, no, it's not that optimal solution. So guys, what we are doing, we are following a journey. We are following a journey where the objective that whenever you get the problem, you have to derive the optimal solution for the problem. The problem here is that whenever you get the problem, you have to derive the optimal solution for the problem. So whenever you get the problem, you have to derive the optimal solution for the problem. So the reason why operation research subject came into existence, the very basic reason the operation research came into existence was to work on optimality. So how you can work on optimality, that only we are dealing here. So now the solution what you are getting, now the solution what you are randomly to some variable, you have solved that is the solution you got. But is the solution optimal? No, the solution is not optimal. What you can do, you can along with optimality, there's a test of degeneracy. There's a test of degeneracy. So the test of DEGNERACY. So along with the optimality test, you can do something else. That is called test of degeneracy. So the test of degeneracy basically means the number of occupied cells, number of occupied cells, number of occupied cells, the number of occupied cells what you're getting, that should be equal to number of row plus number of column minus 1. So you can do this test of degeneracy. So this is just a term in exam for like a 5 marks question can come, that how you get degeneracy in the transportation problem. So for exam point of view, this is little bit important topic. This is important word, that is called test of degeneracy. So the test of degeneracy basically means that the number of occupied cells should be equal to the number of row plus number of column minus 1, where M basically means number of row, N basically means number of column minus 1. So if you see in this problem, there are 4 rows are there and 3 columns are there. So here 4 rows are there and 3 columns are there. So the number of occupied cells should be 6. So the number of occupied cells should be 6. If the number of occupied cell is 6, then it is non-degenerate. Okay. So if the number of occupied cell is 6, then it is non-degenerate. So you have to understand that if the number of occupied cells, if the number of occupied cells is 6, then it is non-degenerate. Non-degenerate. You can see the spelling, non-degenerate. So this is called test of degeneracy. Let's see the occupied cells. How many cells are occupied? So that is 1. This is 1. This is 2. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. So if you see, the number of occupied cells are 5. Guys, I hope everyone is listening to me. If I count, let's count it again. Number of occupied cells. What cells are you occupied? This is one cell which is occupied. This is another cell which is occupied. This is the third cell which is occupied. This is the fourth cell which is occupied. This is the fifth cell which is occupied. So the number of occupied cell is 5. But what is test of degeneracy says? Test of degeneracy says that the number of occupied cells should be M plus N minus 1, where M is the total number of row, N is the total number of column minus 1. Okay, so that is called test of degeneracy. That is called test of degeneracy. Okay, now here if you see the test, here if you see the degeneracy test, if you see the degeneracy test, here you can see the number of occupied cells are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it should be 6. So now here if you see, the number of occupied cell should be 6, but here the number of occupied cell is 5. It means this problem, in this problem is degenerate. It is degenerate. It is not non-degenerate. It is degenerate. So then it is called degenerate. So whenever you solve the given transportation problem, and if your basic feasible solution contains less than M plus N minus 1, then it is called degenerate. So just remember this term, that if your number of occupied cell is less, because here the number of occupied cell is 5, it is supposed to be 6, it means it is degenerate. In case if your number of occupied set would have been equal to 6, then it would be called as non-degenerate. So these terms are a little bit important. You can remember this whenever you get the problem, you can remember these terms. So now see, you have to understand what we have done. You have to understand what we have done. We are trying to find a solution for the problem. So when you are trying to solve the solution for the problem, so randomly you have chosen any variable and randomly you got some values, and with that random values what you get, what you did, you calculated your total cost, and then you what the answer what you're getting, that answer is called feasible solution. Now we have to go for a journey. Now in this transportation problem chapter, now we have to go for a journey. By using that journey, ultimately we will try to find the optimal solution. Now we have to go for a journey, and in during this course of journey, what we learn how to find the optimal solution. We will learn how to find the optimal solution. So before we'll go for the journey for finding the optimal solution, what you have noticed, what I have done, what I had done, I randomly choose some variable and I randomly got some answer. So everyone can do it by their own way. Every person who will get this problem, everyone will start solving by own way. So then that uniformity can't be maintained. Then you can't think about a kind of a same mode of mechanism for solving the problem. So that's why whenever you get the problem in transportation problem, so first we'll derive the basic initial feasible solution. First we learn how to derive the basic initial feasible solution. So in that, to learn the basic initial feasible solution, in that I'll teach you three methods for doing that. The first method is called northwest corner method. The first method what we learn is called northwest corner method. The second method we learn is least cost method, or matrix minima method. The second method is least cost method or matrix minima method, and the third method is called Vogel approximation method. And the third method is called Vogel approximation method. So in us now we learn how to work on basic initial feasible solution. So for basic initial feasible solution, so there are three methods are there for solving the basic initial feasible solution. What I'm dealing here. So the one is called northwest corner method. The second one is called least cost method or matrix minima method. And the third one is called Vogel approximation method. So you follow these three methods for getting the answer for the given problem. So these are the three methods what you need to follow to get the basic initial feasible solution. Now, if you noticed, I have solved this problem randomly. If you noticed, I have solved this problem randomly. Randomly, I chosen some variable and randomly I solved that problem. But that should not be the way. What is the way? You have to follow a system. So we are living in an organized world where we need to follow the system. So that in order to follow that system, the first method what you follow to get that system, that is called basic initial feasible method. That is called basic initial feasible method. So these are the three methods for working on basic initial feasible method solution. Once you get the basic initial feasible solution, then we learn how to work on optimality on these solutions. So then we learn, then after this, once you learn this basic initial feasible solution, then we'll do the test of optimality. So for the test of optimality, either we follow stepping stone method or either we follow modified distribution method. The other name of modified distribution method is UV method. So that we'll do in the first sessions where there we'll talk about the test of optimality. Right now what I'm talking about, I'm only talking about how you can get the basic initial feasible solution, and there are three methods are there for that. Okay, anyone have any doubt whatever I've covered so far? Anyone want to ask anything? Okay, so if since because nobody is saying anything, so I'm assuming that you're understanding we are doing. So whenever you get the problem, so the first thing when you get the problem, the first thing what you have to do, you have to find the solution for that problem. Randomly, if you do anything to get anything, then that is called feasible solution. It is not the optimal solution. To get the optimal solution, first you have to derive the basic initial feasible solution. To get the basic initial feasible solution, you follow three methods. Either of that method is called northwest corner method, or it is called Vogel approximation method, or it is called matrix minima method. The other name of matrix minima method is the least cost method, guys. Now in exam, if nothing is given, you get a 5 marks question in exam and they ask you derive the initial basic feasible solution. 5 marks question. Derive the initial basic feasible solution that they are asking you. So in exam, if nothing is mentioned, randomly out of the three methods, you can use any method and you get the answer. Okay, but if in the exam you get 10 marks or 15 marks question, if you, I believe already I have forwarded the previous year question paper to you. Already I have forwarded the previous year question paper to you. If you go to the case study part, you can see a question, transportation problem you will see. And in that 15 marks question, they have asked you, get the solve this problem and find the optimal solution. Now, so in order to get the optimal solution, the first thing what you'll do, you'll get the basic initial feasible solution. There out of these three methods, you can use any method, doesn't matter. You can use any method. You can use to get the basic initial feasible solution. You can use any method. But guys, understand one thing, that out of these three methods, the best method is the Vogel approximation method. Out of the three methods, the method which give you the answer which is very close to the optimal solution. Out of these three methods, the method which give you the answer which is very close to your optimal solution, that method is Vogel approximation method. So if in chance that if I give you, if I ask you that out of these three methods, randomly you choose any method. Suppose if I ask you out of the three methods, randomly out of these three methods, randomly you choose any method. So in that case, my sincere suggestion to all of you would be to choose always Vogel approximation method. This is my sincere suggestion to all of you, that once I'll do this problem by all these three methods, you'll realize that the most difficult method out of these three is Vogel approximation method. This many time in exam, this is called VAM method. So many time in exam, this is called as VAM method. Many time in exam, they'll write solve this problem by VAM method. So many time in exam, they'll write solve this problem by VAM method. Okay, so out of these three methods, the most difficult method is the VAM method. And if you ask to the student, so no one used to like solving the problem by VAM method. But in case if I'm asking you 5 marks question, so in that 5 marks question, what you can do, you if you want, you can skip. You can skip VAM method. You can solve that problem either by northwest corner method or by using least cost method, because they are easy way of solving the problem. They are the easy way of solving the problem. Out of all three, the least cost method and northwest corner method, they are easy way to get the answer, because they are easy way to get the answer, because they are easy way to get the answer. So you can choose any of the method and you can get the answer. And out of the three method, the VAM method is the most difficult. So you can use northwest corner method or you can use least cost method. If you use any of these methods, you can get the answer very easily. You can get the answer very easily. You can get the answer. But what would be my suggestion for you, that in case in the exam, if they have not mentioned anything,
In case if they ask you solve this problem, in case they ask you, you solve this problem, and then you, if you see a 15 marks question where they are asking you to solve this problem, get the optimal solution for that problem, then my sincere suggestion for you is to do with VAM method, Vogel approximation method, because that give you the answer most closest to your optimal solution. So once we get the basic initial feasible solution, then we'll do the optimality test, To do the optimality test, normally there are two methods are there. One is called stepping stone method. One is called stepping stone method. One is called stepping stone method. And the another method is called Modi method. Another method is called Modi method or UV method. So the next method is called Modi method, modified distribution method, or UV method. Normally the stepping stone method we don't use. If for exam and all, we always prefer UV method only. That is Modi method only. And in this, we solve the problem by taking this variable called U and V, and with that we try to get the answer for the given problem. So that is the one way of solving and getting the answer for the problem. So if you get a 15 marks question, and if then in that question, if they're asking you to get the optimal solution, then my suggestion for you would be to start with VAM method, because VAM method will give you the most optimal solutions, closest to the optimal solution. Otherwise, if you get a 5 marks question, you can use any of the three methods. Okay, now let's discuss the first method. Now let's discuss the first basic initial feasible solution method, that is called northwest corner method. So let's discuss this problem with this method. So today I'll do only one example of northwest corner method for you, and tomorrow we'll do more problem on northwest corner method and least cost method and Vogel approximation. Let me erase all this. Anyone have anything to ask? Anyone want to ask anything? So you all are understanding what we are doing? Anyone want to ask anything? Please write your doubts in the chat box if anyone want to ask anything. I believe you all are understanding. This is easy thing only, not at all difficult thing. So now for this, let's start the problem let's do this problem with the first method. Let's do this problem with the first method. So to get the basic initial feasible solution, so we should follow a uniformity. So let's do this with northwest corner method. So let's do with northwest corner method to get the basic initial feasible solution. So let's do this problem with northwest corner method. So I believe everyone understand this term called northwest corner. So what is a northwest corner here? So the northwest corner is this cell. So what we'll do, we'll start solving this problem with the northwest corner cell. Okay, guys. So guys, again, let me reassure you what I'm doing right now. What I'm doing right now, I'm trying to solve this problem. I'm trying to get the feasible solution for the problem. Instead of doing randomly by any way, we are following a uniformity to solve this problem. To follow that uniformity to get the solution, there are three methods are there. And the first method is northwest corner method. So I'm starting solving this problem with northwest corner method. So when you are trying to get the basic initial feasible solution by northwest corner method, you start with the cell which is there at the northwest corner. So the cell which is there at northwest corner, you can see the cell which is at the northwest corner. So I'll start solving this with this cell. Now if you see this cell, the total supply is 5 and the total demand is 7. So how much supply you can do? So total supply is 5. So how much supply you can do? So you can do a total supply of 5. Okay. So if you do a total supply of 5, then you cannot supply anything to D2. You cannot supply anything to A12 and A13. And the demand out of 7 unit demand, 5 unit is given. Okay, to A11. Now the demand left is only 2 units. Then which is the northwest corner cell now? That is this cell. Now which one is the northwest corner cell with you? This cell. Now I'll go to this cell. If I go to this cell, now if you see the demand for this cell is 2 and the supply is 8. If you see the demand for this cell, is 2, and the supply is 8. So if you see the demand for this cell is 2 and the supply is 8. So what I'll do? I'll fulfill the requirement for this. So the supply what you can do is 8 unit, but the demand is only 2 unit. So what is the maximum supply you can do to this? What is the maximum supply you can do to this? Is 2 unit. So if you do 2 unit supply, so now the supply left with you, if you do the 2 unit supply, now the supply left with you is 6 unit. Then, okay, now which is the northwest corner cell now? Which is the northwest corner cell now with you? This cell. Which is the northwest corner? This cell. Now if you see in this cell, the maximum supply you can do is 6 and the demand is 9. So how much can you supply? You can supply 6. So if you supply 6, you cannot supply anything from O2, and now this will become 3 because the total demand was 9 and you supplied 6, so now it become 3. Now go to the next cell, which is the northwest corner cell now. Which is the next northwest corner cell now. Now if you go to the northwest corner cell now you can see the demand is 3 and the supply is 7. So how much the demand is only 3 and the supply is 7. So how much the demand is only 3. So how much will you supply? You will supply only 3. You will supply only 3. So if you supply only 3, so now this is fulfilled. Now you are out of 7 units, 3 units you have supplied. So now the supply you can do from this this place is only 4 units. Now you go. Now you reach the next cell. Now reach the next cell, northwest corner cell. Now reach the next northwest corner cell. So if you reach the next northwest corner cell, now now if you notice that the supply what you can do is 4 and the demand is 18. So but the demand is 18 unit, but you can supply only 4. So how much can you supply? How much can you supply? So you can supply. How much can you supply? So how much can you supply? You can supply 4 units. How much can you supply? So you can supply 4 units. So if you supply 4 units, so how much your demand left? So your demand left is 14. That 14, you will do for this. So this method of doing this, the way we have done this, this is called northwest corner method. Okay, this is the one way of finding the initial basic feasible solution. This is the one way of finding the initial basic feasible solution, and this method what you have used here, this is called as northwest corner method. Anyone have doubt? So now if we do the test of optimality, if we do the test of non-degeneracy, if you do the test of non-degeneracy, then the test of non-degeneracy says that the number of occupied cell, number of occupied cell, number of occupied cell should be equal to number of row plus number of column minus 1. So if you see here, 4 rows are there and 3 columns are there, that it should be equal to 6. The number of occupied cell should be 6. Okay, now if you count number of occupied cell, now if you count, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5, this is 6. So if you count the number of occupied cell, it is 6. And what is the test of degeneracy? The test of degeneracy states that the number of occupied cells should be m plus n minus 1. It means, yeah, it is equal to m plus n minus 1. It means the basic feasible solution what we got. It means the basic feasible solution what we got is non-degenerate. Is non-degenerate. DEGENERATE. Now what I can do, I can find the total cost. I can find the total cost. So the total cost associated with this, the total cost associated with this problem. If I see the total cost associated with this problem, so that is unit 2, 2 into 5 plus 3 into 2 plus 3 into 6 plus 4 into 3 plus 7 into 4 plus, and then next one is, let me remove this yellow color. So the total number of total cost, now if you see your total cost, that is equal to 2 into 5, 2 into 5 plus 3 into 2 plus 3 into 6 plus 4 into 3 plus 7 into 4 plus 2 into 14. So you can, with this you can find the total cost. You can solve this to find the total cost. Okay, do this, find your total cost. So if you solve this, 5 into 2 is 10, then this is 6 plus 18 plus 12 plus 28 plus 28. 14 2s are 28. So if you solve this, the total cost you will get is 102 rupees. So this is the one way of solving the problem. So once you get the problem, you can get your basic initial feasible solution. You get your basic initial feasible solution. Once you get your basic initial feasible solution, basic initial feasible solution, then do the test of non-degeneracy. Once you do the test of non-degeneracy, then find your total cost. So this is the most simplified way of solving the transportation problem. In exam, you will not do like this way. This is a very easy way of I have done everything. The questions in exam will not be like this because this is the introductory class, so we have done like this way. So one of the way of finding initial feasible solution was northwest corner method. By using northwest corner method, how you can find the total cost? This is the way I have done. Okay, so anyone have any doubt? Anyone want to ask anything? Okay, so I have another class at 12:30. So I need to wind up this class. So I believe nobody is asking anything. So I believe whatever I have done, you have understood. And I believe Shruti will send me the attendance of today's class. So if nobody have any doubt, then I want to wind up this class. Okay, everyone. Anyone want to say anything? Okay, so I think uh, now it's because I have under class, so I want to. So this is the way, guys. So this was the very basic thing what we have done. I believe you have understood. So I have taken lot of time to make you understand with this topic. The idea was that first you should get yourself very comfortable to what I am doing. So this is the way what we should do the problem. So what we have done was very introductory. Tomorrow we'll increase our level of solving the problem. So with that intention, it's the time to say goodbye to all of you so that we can again see you tomorrow at the same time, same place. Keep watching this video, and your friends in other colleges who are doing MBA, you can send these videos to them, share with them so that our hard work will reach to maximum people and maximum people should get benefited. That should be the overall agenda of giving you the recorded version of video so that you will get benefited and rest everyone in this world should be get benefited. So with that, let's wind up this class, guys. Thank you, everyone. God bless you. Bye.